All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the July 2nd MakerDAO community call. My name is David. I do community development here at Maker. And this call is just a week-long recap of all the stuff that's been going on in the MakerDAO universe. And I've been playing around with the format of this call a little bit. And so usually we start off with events or a special guest if we have one. But today we do not have a special guest. And I think I'm gonna leave events off for last because there are not too many. There's only I think 5 on my list. For the people in the call, I'm gonna throw up the agenda for you guys so you can follow along if you'd like. And obviously, feel free to interrupt me at any time. We don't have too many people in the call today, so I'm down to have like some kind of open-ended discussion or anything if you guys want to talk about it. All right, cool. So I'm gonna just kind of launch into it. Maybe it would be good for me to share my screen. Yes, I'm gonna share my screen. Hey Nick,
Hey, how you doing?
what's up, man? Small party today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna go through some of the stuff that's been going on this week. All right, so I'm gonna go over governance first. There's a discussion thread that came out. We put out the summary on Friday of the Thursday community call, and these community calls have been getting longer and awesomer, and obviously a bit more complex. It's been really interesting thinking about governance in MakerDAO these last weeks, especially with Matthew, and actually a few other people's thoughts on value at risk and risk premiums and how setting the DSR and setting risk premiums for various assets in multi-collateral Dai is going to work. But yeah, so if you guys are into governance, check out the discussion thread, read through the summary. It's there so that you don't have to listen through an hour and 40-minute call. Yeah, that's about it. Well, there is one thing. A handful of people have been bringing this up this week, including inside the Thursday governance and risk call. But people are calling for the raise of the debt ceiling. So right now we're at about 90 million Dai, and people are beginning to get antsy about the debt ceiling. I think Cyrus was actually the first to bring it up, but we're considering, I think governance is considering how to go about raising the ceiling and how much to raise it by. So those are the types of conversations that are happening right now. For the executive vote, for the weekly executive vote, there is none this week. This is because last week's governance poll ended with a vote for basically no change. Voted for 16.5%, which is the current stability fee. And a new governance poll was launched just yesterday. And so you guys can go ahead and vote if you feel that the stability fee should change, to give you guys maybe a bit of oh no, do I not have Dai Decipher saved here? Alright, give me just a second. But the peg, no way. I somehow managed to clear my cookies, so my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. If it loads, it loads. For now, it's not loading. But either way, there's about the peg I think is below $1 right now from the last time I checked the 24-hour volume weighted average price. That Vishesh's website really beautifully displays. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's being reached right now. But I'll check it out later. So yeah, no governance poll. Oh, sorry. The governance poll is live yesterday. It's gonna be completed right before Thursday's governance call. So feel free to vote. There's I think 9 options ranging from 12.5% to 20.5%. Besides that, Matthew Rabinowitz came out with the 4th of this month his weekly narrative on MakerDAO, which is also a really great place to just have a really brief summary of Maker governance and some of Matthew's own thoughts on how to improve Maker governance. He does a great job in these. Some new hires from within the organization itself. We hired Gina, who is going to be helping Jeremy, our head of people success, with some recruiting. We actually opened up several jobs. If you guys are interested in in applying for jobs, you guys could go to the careers page here and you could check out all of the open positions. So Maker is currently hiring for some stuff. For partnerships and integrations this week, we saw a US Bitcoin ATM operator. I forgot the name of them themselves, but these are some pretty high profile articles because they're in like Yahoo Finance and New York Times. But yeah, it was really cool to see a US Bitcoin ATM operator at Dai, and so they I think also have one of their verticals is a remittance service, but I actually know where a handful of these ATMs are in New York, which is really cool to see that they added Dai. Token Card, which is the quote first Ethereum powered banking alternative, which I don't think that's a true statement, but maybe it is. Who knows? It launches an iOS app store with Dai promotion for the first 1,000 users. I think they're giving out like 15 Dai for every new user, but yeah, feel free to check it out. Unfortunately, though, they're not in the US. So they, I think, are based out of Europe, potentially like England, I think is what I read, but I'm not 100% sure. Check out the link if you guys are interested. Uh, yeah, so moving forward, Maker blog. So we had our monthly Making Maker post come out, and it went over a ton of the cool stuff that happened this month. All of which I'm blanking out now because it is a 95-degree Tuesday in New York and my brain is melting. But apologies for that. We had a blog post on the multi-collateral Dai roadmap, and so it kind of covered all the things that are still kind of in in the pipeline that have to that have to happen before MakerDAO multi-collateral Dai launches, which includes audits, includes a lot of fresh documentation, and it includes a lot of community discussion and participation on the governance side of things, because I think that's where we're going to see the most complexity. Right now, single collateral Dai Maker governance is doing great, but as multi-collateral Dai comes out, we're going to need and we are going to have more robust systems for governance. We're really looking forward to that. Yeah, so that's about it for that. Multi-collateral Dai, collateral types. There was a blog post that came out on the same day that announced some of the adapters that the team was working on. ERC20 tokens have all their own nuances, and so for the collateral types that are being considered for multi-collateral Dai, this is kind of the short list of things that are kind of will be ready to go. Uh, but as of right now, obviously, MKR holders are the real ones who get to decide what collateral is accepted in the system. And if you have been tuning into our Thursday governance calls, we've been going through what collateral onboarding process looks like and what the entire sort of risk process looks like in general. And Cyrus has been presenting weekly to kind of educate the community about risk and collateral types and how we account for them and how all of this plays into our calculation of various risk parameters. So tune in. Yeah, we're gonna fly through this agenda because it is a slow day today. But highlights from the community: we had another successful meetup in Ghana from Sahabia, which he is an awesome dude. He's been super proactive. He's been actually putting out meetups monthly in different areas of Ghana and different people. So the people that attended this last meetup were actually, I think they were I forgot exactly how he explained it. Actually, I could read I could read it up here. Uh, yeah, as the national service personnel within the Zabzugu district of Ghana. So I think there's a mandatory 1 year national service that people have to serve out in Ghana, and I think these are the people that are doing that, and he's educating them about cryptocurrency, about Dai, and about what they might have available to them in the near future. And actually, for the next meetup in Ghana, uh, we're going to be testing one of our grantees dApps, Protea Gather, and they do some cool stuff with token curated. Sorry, no, token bonding curves, TBCs. Yeah, I'm always dyslexic between like TCRs and TBCs. So they're doing some cool stuff where they can incentivize the community to kind of buy into a tokenized bonding curve, and they could plan all their meetups within their dApp. And if like you could stake Dai for your meetup, and if you come, you get like your Dai plus a bit of interest, and like there's a bunch of cool stuff going on with the dApp. And their kind of first test pilot is going to be at one of Sahabia's meetups, so that's going to be really cool. And I hope that that goes well, and I hope we get a nice little write up or something to kind of check out how it goes. For developer creations this week, we saw a couple of things. So Daniel from Enable, who Daniel is actually around the Maker community. He's been around the Maker community for a while, but he has a work in progress project called Kiva for Dai, a project called Enable, and it's basically unsecured microloans made in Dai to people in basically like places where there is not easy access to capital. And so he is piloting this project, and I think he's actually going to be on the call in a couple of weeks once he has a proof of concept and just some working stuff that he could demo for us and he could show how it works. So stay tuned for that. It's a really interesting project because, I don't know about you guys, but a few years ago, I remember reading a bunch about how microloans really, really help kind of like developing emerging markets and people, kind of leapfrog. There's kind of a leapfrog effect that happens. And it's funny enough, unsecured loans actually have fairly low default rates, small unsecured loans under like a certain amount. But obviously, there's nuances. There's ways to filter out potential bad loans, and that's what his project dives into. So it's really interesting stuff. We also saw OX Futures. It's a decentralized version of BitMEX. It's non-custodial, and they are exclusively accepting DAI as collateral for their like futures products on this DEX. Um, they have done a code review. I think it was like a kind of like amateur like audit done by like just one or two people. Uh, and obviously this is like super early stage. They still rely on a centralized price oracle, so it's not fully decentralized, but they are working to improve it. And I think this was kind of a backyard project for a couple of college students, and they are doing it for fun, and they're seeing what they can build. So this was really cool to see. A couple articles this week. We saw another awesome "What is Dai" article, one of the millions, and then we also saw this one really cool article I stumbled upon, which was Dai statistics leading by example. And the author goes into a lot of numbers, and it's really cool to see numbers. I mean, personally, I freaking love numbers, but yeah, a bit of a more high effort post there, which is nice. There was a handful of great threads. There was a thread talking about debt auctions and multi-collateral Dai, and if you don't know what a debt auction is, it basically, so the way that liquidations work in single collateral Dai is completely different to how they're going to work in multi-collateral Dai. And in multi-collateral Dai, there is a sort of three types of auction mechanism, and one of them is the debt auction, which is, I believe, the one that issues MKR. Man, I'm blanking out here. I've explained this so many times that it's hard to remember. Uh, but yeah, and then there was this other thread on the value of governance and how that and how it works out. And there's actually super high effort posts in here, and definitely worth reading. It's a super interesting conversation. Uh, Besides that, there's only one real video I saw from the Twitter sphere this week. Nathaniel Whitmore talked a bit about multi-collateral Dai on Twitter, and yeah, that's about it. So I blew through all the sort of official stuff and the community stuff, and that's about it. And as for events, We don't have too much going on. Per your requests a few weeks ago, I've started to add kind of the bigger events that are further out that we're going to be participating in. So we will be in Berlin in later August for Berlin Blockchain Week. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be participating in, I think, like maybe 4 or 5 different events during the week. And yeah, but more final information will come closer to the date. We're also going to be in Osaka for DevCon 5, I believe it is, and that is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of our team is going to be there, so if you guys are out there, we're going to be looking forward to seeing you. In Korea, we got Du giving a lecture. This is actually tomorrow, but I saw he gave a lecture a couple days ago too. But he's going to be giving a lecture tomorrow about DeFi services. So check it out if you're in Korea. Other countries, we got Mariano giving a keynote at Blockchain Summit LATAM in Mexico City on the 4th. And then also on the 4th in Taipei, we have Mariano giving another keynote. Yeah. Is this the same Mariano? There's no way. Maybe I mixed up. No, oh yeah, this was Jocelyn. Sorry about that. This is definitely Jocelyn, I remember. Yes, so that's about it for events. That's about it for this week. It's a hot summer week, and everybody is heads down working. I hope you guys are having a great week. And so yeah, I'm gonna open it up to questions, but I'm happy to end it earlier this week since we don't have a guest and there's not much going on. Oh, where are the ATMs in New York? Asking for a friend, Bo Belmer. Actually, Bo, I'm gonna send you a website. There's a website that actually has like GPS coordinates of every single Bitcoin ATM in New York. There's also another website that has like every single vendor that accepts Bitcoin through. Maybe it was last time I was on that website was like a couple of years ago, so it might have been like BitPays or something, but pretty sure that there's website. I'll find something and I'll send it your way, man. Hey David, is the agenda docs you create each week accessible? Yeah, absolutely. So I typically post the link to the agenda chat in both the Reddit thread and here throughout the call. And if you scroll down, there's also a bunch of older agendas, so you could look at past weeks, and everything in there is linked up, and you could explore as you please. Oh, you use token card, Marcin? That's pretty sick. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's like I have this early access version or alpha version.
Yeah.
The card is not looking very good. It's like generic Visa card. It's without any.
As long as it works.
Yeah, but you can buy pizza. I did it like 4 times in honor of Bitcoin pizza.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's actually working. It's pretty simple, yeah. But you have to like put Dai into mobile application.
Have you tried any other cards? I know YRX is also they're also
No.
like in a similar jurisdiction.
No. This is like you pay like 2% of your. The 2% goes half to, I think, token organization and half to TKN holders.
Yeah.
So 1% goes to them. So yeah.
2% on a transaction is
It's
not insignificant.
Pretty hard.
Yeah, pretty hard. Bo is asking in the chat, do you track engagement across all social platforms? Just curious as to how it compares with engagement directly with MakerDAO/CDPs. What exactly are you talking about, Bo? I'm a little bit lost. Do you mean like when we put together the agenda? If we're tracking like stuff across all social platforms? Oh, I'm gonna scroll down, like Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, etc. engagement. Yeah, so I think Coulter actually tracks all the social media engagements. But yeah, the numbers who of people who are like creating CDPs, we do, I think, a quarterly. Well, we have done in the last 2 quarters a quarterly report. And you've seen it. It's called Dai numbers. But all of the analytics for like people creating CDPs and things like that, I think are captured in that report. They might actually, come to think of it, it might be a report more specific to Dai rather than CDP numbers. But I mean, it's all in the blockchain. You could see it, but we are independently kind of loosely tracking engagement. I don't know how how deep Coulter's tracking goes, but yeah, we're definitely watching it. So somebody has a question about the interest. I do not know how to read your name. I'm sorry. So in the compound.finance, in Compound, those who want to borrow need to pay the fee to the lender. But in MakerDAO, if you get Dai, you pay fee to MakerDAO, right? Yeah, exactly. So Compound, where you're borrowing Dai from Compound, that's Dai that somebody else is putting up, supplying it to you for you to borrow. But in MakerDAO, when you borrow Dai, you're actually creating it from scratch, and then when you pay it back, you're creating it from scratch. So it's not peer-to-peer lending; it's like peer-to program lending, right? You kind of you kind of do that, and then yeah, when you pay the fee, you're paying it directly to the protocol, and the protocol takes your fee, and at the moment, it burns it in full. Yeah, it converts it into MKR if you pay it in Dai, but then it burns it in full. All right, right on. Yeah. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm gonna close the call up in a few minutes. Also, open call. Our translations initiative is moving forward with a new set of FAQs, and Marcin is actually spearheading this initiative. So if you guys are interested in doing some translation work for Dai bounties, hit up Marcin, and his handle is at reuptaken on Rocket Chat. Yeah, you could reach him there, or you could just join our translations channel on Rocket Chat, which I'm actually gonna link. And yeah, go for it. One more question. If I buy a lot of Dai from a decentralized exchange, someone will not have enough to pay back to contract, right? Well, in theory, I guess, yeah. If you like have all the Dai, and somebody has a CDP open and you're not selling the Dai, then that guy's either gonna have to buy the Dai from you at a premium, or he's gonna have to buy Dai from somewhere else. But lucky for us, it's not like a one person, one CDP owner market. The market is very flexible. There's a lot of participants, and yeah, generally speaking, that is kind of how it works. Here, let me link the translations channel if you guys are interested. All right, right on. Well, thank you guys for joining. I will see you guys later.